All right, so today we are going to be diving into a book I've heard so much about.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everywhere, and I'm really excited to finally dig into it. It's called This Is a Love Story by Jessica Soffer.
Okay.
Have you heard of this one?
Yeah, I've heard the title. I think I saw Jenna Bush Hager raving about it.
Oh, yeah.
Calling it like the best love story or something like that, the most epic love story she's ever read.
Something like that, yeah, an epic love story, which is, I mean, that's a blight statement.
Huge statement, yeah. So I'm curious, like, what is it about?
Well, basically, it's about this couple,
Okay.
Abe and Jane, and their artists and their lives, like, totally unfold against the backdrop of Central Park. Over 50 years.
Wow, 50 years.
I know, right? So you're thinking, like, okay, Central Park, love story, sounds kind of cliche, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful setting, but like, what makes this one special?
Well, that's what we're going to find out. So what's interesting is Central Park isn't just a setting, it's like a character.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like a silent witness to their relationship. And it kind of, I don't know, it participates in the narrative in a way.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so we're going to look at all that and just see what makes this love story stand out from all the others, right? Like, what are the complexities of love and art and family that Soffer really captures?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so first of all, Abe and Jane, they meet in Central Park. They fall in love.
It's a classic.
Total classic, right? And then we see their love evolve over 5 decades. Like,
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
That's a long time.
I know. And they experience all of life's milestones, and through it all, Central Park is there.
That's cool.
So we see them as like starry-eyed lovers, first kiss under the stars.
Right.
And then they become exhausted parents. They're dealing with career struggles.
I feel seen.
Right? We've all been there. And they have like intense conversations while strolling through the park. It's really interesting how the park is used.
So the park is like reflecting their relationship.
Exactly. And it's not just that they're in the park, but how their actions in the park really show what's happening between them.
Ooh, I like that.
Like sometimes they go to the park together for these big important talks, right? But then other times they go there alone when they need space from each other.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like the park is where they go to both connect and to like escape from each other.
Yeah, it's like this physical representation of the push and pull of a long-term relationship.
I love that. It makes the park feel so dynamic, like it's almost breathing with their relationship.
Right? And speaking of that happens, this book isn't just told from Abe and Jane's perspective.
Oh, is that where the multiple perspectives come in?
Yeah, exactly. We also hear from their son, Max.
Okay.
And there's this like mysterious, determined young student of AIDS who is also apparently looking for a love story of her own.
Oh, wow. So there's like a younger generation coming into play too.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it seems like Max kind of resents his parents' dedication to their art.
That's interesting. Like he maybe feels overshadowed by their passions.
Right. He thinks they chose art over parenthood, or at least that's his perception.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Like as an artist, you pour so much of yourself into your work.
For sure.
It can be all consuming. So I can see how a child might feel like a little neglected.
Absolutely. So now we have this mystery student, right? We don't know how she fits in exactly.
Right.
But I'm wondering, like, how does Soffer manage all these different voices? Because it could get really messy, right?
It definitely could. But I think that's what makes it so interesting.
Oh, how so?
Well, because she weaves these narratives together in a way that shows how Abe and Jane's relationship impacts those around them.
I see.
It's not just their story. It's like how their choices ripple outwards and affect their son and this student.
Right. So it's about the broader impact of their love story.
Exactly. And with Max specifically, we see how a parent's dedication to their art can really affect a child. Like Max ends up avoiding love and intimacy himself because of how he saw his parents prioritize their art.
Whoa. So it's like a generational thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where the whole art versus parenthood theme really comes alive.
It's not just like an abstract idea. It's a real struggle.
Yeah, like how much can you really give to both? Are sacrifices inevitable? And what does that do to your relationships?
Those are big questions for sure. And I'm curious to see how Soffer tackles them.
Me too. She doesn't shy away from the hard stuff, which is refreshing.
Definitely. So let's go back to Central Park for a minute. You mentioned it's more than just a setting, right? It's almost like a character.
Right. Like I said before, it's that silent observer that's seen it all. If Central Park could talk, oh man, the stories it would tell.
Right. So what do you think it symbolizes in the story?
Well, for Abe and Jane, it's like a living record of their love. We see them there as those starry-eyed lovers, then later as those exhausted parents we were talking about. But it's always there.
It's constant.
It's that one constant in their ever-changing lives. It's where their relationship unfolds, it's where it endures, and it's maybe even where it falls apart sometimes, you know?
Yeah. It makes me think about how physical spaces can hold on to our memories, you know? Like, even if we've moved on, the place is still there, holding on to those moments.
Exactly, like that old tree in your backyard where you carved your initials with your first love.
Oh my gosh, yes. It felt so permanent then, like we were etching our story into the world.
And that feeling, that sense of history, it's so strong in how Soffer writes about Central Park. It makes you feel the weight of Abe and Jane's love, even as they're going through all these challenges.
Wow, yeah. Okay, so after going through all this, what are like the big takeaways from this deep dive into This Is a Love Story? What do we want our listeners to walk away with?
Well, first and foremost, it's a beautiful exploration of love, the kind of love that lasts, that endures. But it also makes you think about the sacrifices we make for love and for art, and how those two things can sometimes clash. And it's about family and how our parents' choices affect us, even as adults.
Yeah.
But I think what really makes this book stand out is how it connects all of that to a specific place, Central Park.
Right.
It makes you think about the places in your own life that have witnessed your story, the places that hold your memories. Like, where is your Central Park?
Oh, yeah, that is such a good question. I mean, I am so fascinated by this idea of how places can shape our lives and our relationships. So now I'm definitely going to have to read this book and maybe take a walk through my own Central Park and think about all the memories it holds.
That sounds lovely. I might just join you.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. This Is a Love Story by Jessica Soffer. Definitely add it to your reading list.
It's on mine now.
Until next time.
See ya!